Hello Internet, the purpose of this video is to introduce Lime Survey, how to get started creating a survey. I find the interface a little bit confusing to begin with, so hopefully we're going to create a survey a little like the one I'm showing you here. It's supposed to be a kid-friendly survey aimed at sort of 8-year-olds, so it's got nice colourful graphics, things like that. So the first step is to get logged in. Visit the login page of your Lime Survey installation, click login, and you're presented with your first of many toolbars across the top here. Now this toolbar refers to the upper level, just your main surveys that you have available to you to administer. So if I take a wee look in this one, I can choose from the drop down menu. I can see that there are a few surveys in there already. I could take a look at this one here by selecting it, and I see that a new toolbar appears, and this is a toolbar specific to the actual survey that we've selected in the toolbar above. So two levels of toolbars at the minute, one for the survey to choose which survey you want to use, and the next to actually administer that survey. So this existing survey, if we would like to test it, we can click this little cog icon for the survey and have a look at what it would look like live to people. So you can see there's multiple questions in this one already. So that's just how to test the survey, but what we want to do now is actually create a new survey. So to get started on creating a new survey, we use the plus icon up at this level, the toolbar that deals with the surveys themselves. We can view a list of the surveys with this icon, and we can add new surveys by clicking the plus icon. So once you click the plus icon, you're presented with several fields. You can start adding information to them. YouTube survey. I can put a description in. Actually, I'll remove that. Survey for YouTube video. You have reached the end of thanks. You can actually enter a URL and address that users will be forwarded on to once they finish the survey. I can choose my date format here. My decimal mark is a dot. I'm the administrator, and I just save. So that's creating the new survey for me, and the survey has been successfully created. So with the survey created, the next step is to create a question group. So we can see here from the toolbar drop down that there are no existing question groups available in this survey because it's brand new, and we need to add a question group now. Now I tend to think of question groups as pages. So if you had several pages throughout your survey, page 1 might be about the respondent, page 2 might be about the things they like, and these are each of the question groups. So we're going to create a question group that asks the respondents about themselves. So the first page of the survey, I'm just going to save that question group, and the question group has been created. I can see that it's available to me now in the drop down menu, and I see that I get a new toolbar. So the third level toolbar is for the questions within that page of the survey. So the top toolbar is for managing the overall site, Lime Survey, and for listing and adding new surveys. The second level is for the page that we're currently on in the survey, and the third level down is the questions that will be created or exist within the page that we've got selected at the second level. So we can start by creating a question. What I'd like to do first is just ask someone what their name is. So if we just choose add new question, So I'm just going to enter some text into the fields for this particular question. I'm going to give a reference value for codes. I'm going to call this one Q1 name. I'm going to enter some text for the actual question that the user sees. And I could, if I wanted, enter some help text if they need some help or if they need any guidance. Under the question type, I'm going to just change that to short free text, and I'm going to say that the question is mandatory, that the user must fill it in, and I won't let the user proceed until they have actually finished that. And if I just click the add question button, that will save the question for me. If we would like to preview how that question looks in the survey, we could click on the preview this question. We can see that here, that's what the field looks like. That's how the survey will look to the end user. So we can see overall we've got our survey listed in this toolbar. We've got our page or question group listed here, it's about you. And we've got one single question here under the questions drop down. And the final toolbar down at the bottom, this fourth toolbar, contains icons that allow us to make actions upon the actual question that we've selected in this drop down. So if I want to create another new question in the page about you, I click on the add new question icon, and this time I'm going to call this Q2 gender, and I'm going to say are you male or female as the question. I could enter some help text if I felt that I needed to, and that's what I'm going to look this time for a question type that would suit. So I'm going to choose list radio because there's only two available options. I don't want an other option, I just want male or female as the potential answers, and I'm going to make this one mandatory as well. So I click add question. That's the second question added to this page. You can see gender is available there, and I've now got this toolbar applies only to the male or female question. So I need to enter some answers for this particular question. It's warning me that I still need to do that. And it's telling me to use this icon here to add answers for the question. So we'll go in here and I can just enter male and female. So I'm just use the icons to the right of the questions to add extra rows, extra answers to your question, or to delete existing ones. And once you're happy with your answers, you can click the Save Changes button. And that is that question saved. If I go back to question 1 name, I can see this is the toolbar that applies to this particular question. And if I choose question 2, I can see that the options change here, and these are the options just for question 2. So at this point I could actually test my whole survey and see how those two questions appear. So I need to go up to the toolbar that applies just to the actual survey and click the test this survey icon. So next we'll take a little look at tarting up our surveys and changing the default template. So if we were to test this survey at the minute, we would see it uses this default theme, and I'd like to change that. So if I go to the actual survey toolbar here, I can choose the little pencil icon and choose general settings, and then here there's a tab for presentation and navigation, and under here I can choose the template that I want to use for this particular survey. So it comes with a few templates built in, and I've created one myself called Kids Quest. That was originally, it's just an amended version of Skeleton Quest. So I'll upload that to my GitHub repo just in case anyone else wants to use it. So if I choose Kids Quest here and save the survey, I should be able to go in and test the survey now, and I can see that it's got my survey title up here and all the text that we added to the survey. but it does have the template graphics that were included in Kids Quest template. If I click on next, I can see there's my 2 questions in here, so it would allow me to mandatory fields. So that's the template amended. Also, you may have noticed in the original survey that I showed you, I had some little icons beside each of the questions, just we sort of helpers for the children to point them to the right question. So what I'm going to do is have a look under About You, and I'm going to choose question 1. And what I want to do is edit this question. So at the minute it just says, what is your name? And what I'd like to do is add a little icon in here that will draw attention to this particular question. So if I click on the image icon in the WYSIWYG toolbar here, and I can click on Browse Server, and in here I can see any images that have already been uploaded, and there's none at the present moment. So if I choose the upload icon, it'll allow me to pick some images from my computer and upload those. Let's see, I'll just choose these wee faces that I created, these little icons in Inkscape. So if I just upload those, and let's say I wanted to use the star one for this particular question, so you can see here that it amends the URL to point to the icon that I've set here. I'm just going to align that to the left. I could put in some horizontal space if I wanted to. Click OK. You see here that the icon then is shown in the question text. I can click Save and Close. I just want to test that now to see how that looks. So I'm going to have to test the survey, and I can see that now I've got this little icon beside the question. So because this is aimed at younger children, the instructor could say go to the question with the red star and answer, just to give a bit of guidance. So just quickly add another one for the male-female question. So I choose question 2 from my toolbar, edit the current question, and in this little WYSIWYG toolbar again, I choose from Image Browse Server, and this time I could choose the green face. Horizontal space, and I want to align that to the left. So click OK. So save and close, and if I preview the survey again using the cog, I should be able to see that I've got a little green square now for that question. So it's very easy to draw attention to these things. So it's just basically all that's going on within that question. If I just go in and edit again, if you are familiar with HTML, you can go to the source button here, and you can see that it's just inserted the HTML and pointed the image to that particular location. Okay, save that and close. So my next step is going to be to add a new page, a new question group, and then I'm going to add some more questions to that new page. And this time I'm going to do a series of questions that have answers like agree, disagree, agree, completely. So like about 5 answers on a sort of scale. So what I want to do first is check the question groups here. I've only got the one, so what I want to do is add a new question group. I'm going to call this one describes you, and I'm going to say what best describes you, and I'm just going to save that question group, and we can see up here that we've got the About You page now and the Describes You page. And if I click on About You, I can see that there are 2 questions in that page. If I click on Describes You, I can see that there are no questions on the page, so I want to go and add a new question to this page. So I'm going to create this question. I'm going to give it a name, a code, a reference value, maybe S2 Q1 describes you. and in the question text I'm going to say below is a list of items that describe kids. Please choose one of the answers for each statement that best describes you over the past 2 months. Okay, I'm just going to make that past 2 months a bit bold so it stands out a little. Oh, and don't need any help text, but what I want to do is change the question type to an array, and the array will allow us, you can see a preview of it there, the array will allow us to put multiple questions in with multiple answers. So it belongs to this page. Is it mandatory? I'm going to leave that at no for now, and I'm just going to say add the question. So what Lime Survey has done is warned us that we need to add some answers and some questions still. You can see that adding questions is the icon with the shading on the left. To add answers we need the icon with the shading across the top. So I'm going to start with adding some of the answers. So we can say here the answers are going to be disagree completely. Another one, disagree. I'm going to say neither agree or disagree. Next one is going to be agree, and finally agree completely. So we can see that we've got a grading of answers, and I can see those changes. So that's the answers have been defined. Now I need to enter some questions for that scaling. So here we can see it's generated codes for us, which is pretty handy. And I'm going to add a few questions here, like I argue a lot, and I am mean to others. I try to get a lot of attention. I destroy my own things. So these are based at children's behaviour. I destroy other people's things. Okay, so just save those questions, and if I go back I can actually test this single question by clicking the preview this question button or the little cog on the page. If I click that, I can see here that I've got my scale of disagree, agree, agree completely, and I've got my questions down the left hand side. Now there's a no answer option on this particular question group, and that's because I didn't make the questions mandatory. If I make them mandatory, that column on the right will disappear, and the respondent won't be able to proceed unless they've answered each of these questions. So back to editing the questions. So I'll just point out at this stage as well that it is possible to add little icons into the questions and answers here. So if I go to the edit the answers, I can manually enter HTML here if I really wanted to, or I can click on this little pencil icon beside the question, and again just use my little image icon, browse my server, and maybe upload some icons for how agreeable people might be to this. So if I say completely disagree, might be that dark blue one. We'll click that, and okay, and see that, and I could add a kind of disagree icon for the disagree one, so we get a lighter blue. doing this a little quickly. You take a little bit more time if you wanted to align things best that you can. So if I say neither agree nor disagree, that'll be the in-between guy. So that's, for agree, it'll be the slightly smiling. Smiley. So he agrees. Okay, see that. And if I want to completely agree, it'll be the very happy guy. I'll just click on the image icon, browse the server again. Very happy guy, click OK. So with that saved, I can preview this question now using the preview question. And I can see that I've got these little icons alongside my answers. If I spent a little bit longer, I could try and align those above or below each of these answers, but just to give you an idea of how it's achieved. So that is a survey with 2 pages and one question on the second page and 2 questions on the first page. So at this point you could test the full survey. Clicking that little icon, I could go in here and put in some information and I can answer some of these questions. Submit my answers. Now the answers don't save because the survey is not yet active, but I have a good flavour of how the survey will actually perform. If I want to activate the survey, I can click this little green icon to activate the survey. I get some questions about being sure about it. I have to have my questions exactly right. I could change some of these answers and activate it. Now, at the moment, that is a survey that is open to anyone, which suits my purposes because no one will be able to access the survey unless they're actually on the local network anyway. But it is possible to send out invites, to add respondents, and to manage tokens for respondents to actually fill in the survey. So that's it. Thanks very much for listening in.